In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear.
Well, Dallas police say they arrested a man accused of killing his manager.
21-year-old Marlon Lawrence is facing a murder charge tonight. Police say he shot and killed 42-year-old Billie Brightman at a tire shop off Camp Wisdom Road in the Redbird neighborhood of Dallas.
In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear. Billie Brightman gave a young man a chance, hired him when he needed work, trained him, showed him the ropes at the tire shop. And that same young man? He repaid Billie by walking up behind him at that front counter and putting a bullet in his back, then another one in his face. Make it make sense. Now let me tell you about Billie Brightman because you need to understand who this man really was. Billie, or BJ as everybody called him, wasn't just some manager at a tire shop. This man put in 25 years at Rent-A-Tire on Camp Wisdom Road in Oak Cliff, Dallas. 25 years. That's a quarter of a century showing up, doing the work, building relationships, becoming the person everybody relied on. To his mama, Cynthia Willis, Billie was her firstborn, her mama's boy, and she makes that clear when she talks about him. "That's my boy," she says. You can hear it in her voice, the kind of love a mother has for her son who never stopped being her baby even at 42 years old. Billie had built himself a whole life too. A wife who loved him, 2 children who looked up to him, friends who considered him family. And at that tire shop? Girl, listen. His mama put it best. I'm telling y'all, he got along with everybody. Everybody loved BJ because he was just BJ. That's the kind of person he was. No pretense, no acting different depending on who was around. Just BJ. The same brother whether you were a customer coming in for a tire change or an employee he was training. James Luck knew this firsthand. Him and Billie? They went back 20 years. 2 decades of friendship. The kind where you don't even have to explain yourself because your boy already knows. And James will tell you, every single time they'd finish talking, Billie had the same parting words.
Safe out there. That's the only thing he always would project to me, like, be safe out there, bro. Be safe out there, bro.
Billie was motivated, selfless, the type of man who put his family first but still made time for his friends, still showed up at work ready to handle business. He worked hard to become that manager, and once he got there, he didn't forget where he came from. He gave people opportunities, hired folks who needed a chance to prove themselves, like Marlon Lawrence. Marlon was 21 years old, young brother trying to make his way, and Billie brought him on as a tire technician, gave him a job, showed him what to do, trusted him to be part of the team. That's the kind of man Billie was. He saw potential in people, gave them a shot even when maybe other managers wouldn't have. This Thanksgiving, just days before everything changed, Billie had his family together. There's a photo from that day, and when you look at it now, knowing what you know, it hits different. Everybody's smiling, enjoying the holiday, just grateful to be in each other's presence. And Billie, he looked at his family that day and said something that nobody realized would mean so much later. "Y'all know how much this means to me." His mama remembers that moment, remembers her son being happy, being present, being exactly who he'd always been. "We were just having a good time," she says. Billie was soaking it all in, appreciating his people, his blessings, everything he'd worked for. That picture meant love then. But now it means everything, because it was the last Thanksgiving Billie Brightman would ever have. Moving on to that Monday. It started like any other day for Billie. He got up, got ready for work, headed to the tire shop on Camp Wisdom Road like he'd done thousands of times before. James Luck actually spoke to him that morning. They had their usual conversation, probably chopped it up about regular stuff, life, work, whatever was going on. And when they finished talking, Billie said what he always said, "Be safe out there, bro." James had no idea those would be the last words he'd hear from his friend. Billie got to the shop and did what he always did. Managed the floor, handled customers at the front counter, made sure everything was running smooth. Just another Monday at the tire shop. Marlon Lawrence was there too, working as a tire technician like he was supposed to. But at some point that afternoon, Billie gave Marlon some instructions. Work stuff. Manager telling his employee what needed to be done. Normal workplace interaction, right? Except whatever those instructions were, something shifted. Something in Marlon changed. And what happened next would destroy a family, shock a community, and leave everybody asking one question: why? So here's where everything goes left. Billie's at that front counter, handling his business like he always does. The tire shop is operating, customers coming in and out. Just a regular Monday afternoon in Oak Cliff. Marlon Lawrence is somewhere in the back, doing his tire technician work. And then Marlon makes a decision that changes everything. The surveillance camera captured it all. Every single second of what happened next is on video.
Biggest question from this family tonight is why, and why did it escalate to such violence from someone the manager hired? Now the tire shop manager leaves behind a wife and 2 children. Rent-A-Tire off Camp Wisdom Road in Dallas sat quiet on Tuesday. A sign outside for customers: "Sorry for the inconvenience, our store is currently closed." But Monday afternoon, it was chaos. These photos of police on the property snapped by nearby businesses. Dallas police say the manager of the tire shop, 42-year-old Billie Brightman, also known as BJ, was murdered by one of his employees, 21-year-old Marlon Lawrence.
It had to be almost 1:45, 1:50, and that's when I started seeing the crime scene.
James Luck, a friend of 20 years, had actually spoken to Brightman early Monday morning. He swung by the shop that afternoon and confusion set in. Luck later learned Brightman died at the hospital, describing him as a motivated, selfless family man.
Just unbelievable, just for it to actually roll out the way it did.
Surveillance video, according to police, showed Brightman working the front counter. Dallas detectives say Lawrence, a tire technician, approached Brightman from behind and shot him in the back and then again in the face. Arrest paperwork Fox 4 obtained on Tuesday doesn't reveal why Lawrence allegedly opened fire.
These photos of police on the property started circulating, taken by people who worked in the surrounding buildings. Everybody trying to figure out what just happened at the tire shop. James Luck was one of those people trying to make sense of the scene. Remember, he'd talked to Billie that same morning, heard his boy tell him, "Be safe out there, bro," just hours earlier. James decided to swing by the shop that afternoon, probably just to say what's up, maybe chop it up for a few minutes like they always did. He pulled up around 1:45, maybe 1:50 in the afternoon, and immediately, something felt wrong. That's when I started seeing the crime scene, James would say later. Police cars everywhere, yellow tape blocking off the shop, officers moving in and out of the building. James sat there in his car, confusion setting in, trying to understand what he was looking at. His friend Billie was supposed to be in there working, managing the shop like he did every day. But instead, there's a crime scene. and the pieces started coming together in the worst possible way. Billie had been rushed to the hospital. The paramedics did what they could, transported him as fast as possible, but the damage was already done. 2 gunshot wounds, 1 to the back, 1 to the face. By the time James learned what happened, by the time anybody who loved Billie found out, it was too late. Billie Brightman died at that hospital, 42 years old, 25 years at that tire shop, a whole life built, a wife waiting for him to come home, 2 kids expecting their daddy to walk through that door, his mama Cynthia thinking she'd talk to her son again, hear his voice, see his smile. All of that, gone in an afternoon. James couldn't believe it. Just unbelievable, he'd say later, trying to process how this could happen to his friend. Just for it to actually roll out the way it did. Because you think about all the ways you might lose somebody you love, all the things that could go wrong in this world, but your boy getting murdered by his own employee at work? That's not something that crosses your mind. Dallas police detectives got to work immediately. They had the surveillance footage, which was crucial. That video showed everything. Showed Marlon approaching from behind. Showed the first shot. Showed him walking closer for the second one. There was no mystery about who did this. The question was why. Officers searched the area. According to the arrest paperwork, Marlon had put the gun in his vehicle parked right outside the shop, not even trying to hide it somewhere difficult to find. Just walked out to his car after shooting his boss and stashed the weapon there. Police brought Marlon Lawrence to Dallas Police Headquarters for questioning. And here's the thing about interrogations. Sometimes people lawyer up immediately, refuse to say anything, make investigators work for every piece of information. But Marlon, he admitted it. Told the detectives he shot Billie Brightman, confessed to killing his boss. But even with that confession, even with the surveillance video, even with the gun recovered from his vehicle, there was still one thing missing from the arrest paperwork: a motive. The documents don't reveal why Marlon opened fire. They don't explain what could have possibly made him think shooting Billie was the answer to whatever problem he had. All we know is that right before the shooting, Billie had given Marlon instructions. Work instructions. Manager to employee, boss to worker. The kind of interaction that happens 1,000 times a day in workplaces everywhere. Billie told Marlon what needed to be done, and somehow, that led to Marlon making the decision to take his life. Marlon Lawrence got arrested and charged with murder, 21 years old, and now he's sitting in custody facing a murder charge for killing the man who gave him a job. The same man who could have said no when Marlon needed work, but instead said yes. The same man who trained him, trusted him, brought him into the tire shop family. And this is how Marlon repaid that trust. The legal process moved forward, but the courtroom proceedings don't change what happened. They don't bring Billie back. They don't answer the question that everybody who loved him keeps asking. The surveillance video is evidence. The confession is on record. The gun was recovered. But none of that explains why a 21-year-old man decided that work instructions from his manager were worth committing murder over. Like, what could Billie have possibly said that made Marlon think this was the move? What instructions could warrant walking up behind somebody and shooting them in the back and then the face? It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And maybe that's the hardest part for everyone left behind, knowing they'll never get an answer that actually makes this okay. Because there is no answer that makes this okay. While Marlon sits in a cell, Billie's family is left to pick up the pieces of a life that got shattered on a Monday afternoon. His mama Cynthia is grieving in a way only a mother who lost her child can understand.
I heard my boy's voice on Thursday, and we talked like we was talking. And then for him to be gone on Monday, yes, I'm hurt.
Think about that. Thursday, she's talking to her son, probably about regular stuff. Family things, making plans, just being a mama checking in on her boy. And by Monday, he's gone. Just like that. No warning, no chance to say a proper goodbye, no time to prepare for a loss that nobody should have to prepare for anyway. Cynthia keeps coming back to that question.
Why? Young man, why?
She's talking directly to Marlon when she says it, asking him to explain the unexplainable. Her son gave him an opportunity. Her son treated people right. Her son was the kind of man who got along with everybody. So why? Why would Marlon do him like that?
I'm hurting. I don't know what else I can do. Praying ain't gonna bring him back, and I know that.
Cynthia says. That's real right there. That's a mother being honest about the reality she's facing. She knows prayer gives her strength, knows her faith is what's holding her together, but she also knows her son isn't walking back through that door. Prayer won't reverse what happened at that tire shop. It won't rewind time to Thursday when she could still hear his voice. But even in all that pain, even in the middle of grief that heavy, Cynthia chooses to focus on gratitude.
My prayer make me a little bit stronger of what I am.
And it's that strength combined with the memories.
He's my legend.
She's holding on to every moment she had with Billie, every conversation, every holiday, every time he called her, every time he showed up and reminded her why he was her mama's boy.
He'll live on in my heart till God call me on,
she says. That's how she's choosing to remember her son. Not just as a victim, not just as the man who got murdered at work, but as her legend. The firstborn who made her proud, who built a good life, who loved his family, who worked hard for 25 years, who gave people chances even when it cost him everything.
So I thank God for I had him 42 years. And I'm just grateful I had him that long.
42 years with her son. 42 years of memories that nobody can take away from her. And she's holding on to that gratitude even while the hurt is trying to drown her. James Luck is dealing with his own grief too. 20 years of friendship, gone in an instant. He keeps thinking about those last words Billie said to him.
Be safe out there. That's the only thing he always would project to me, like, be safe out there, bro. Be safe out there, bro. And now just thinking of him always telling me that, it just kind of bothers me now.
James says, getting teary-eyed just remembering. Because Billie was always the one looking out for other people. Always telling his friends to be safe, to watch their backs, to take care of themselves out in these streets. But who was watching Billie's back? Who was supposed to keep him safe when danger came from inside his own workplace, from somebody he hired and trusted? The tire shop on Camp Wisdom Road sat quiet the day after Billie's murder. A sign outside for customers. Sorry for the inconvenience. Our store is currently closed. But it wasn't about inconvenience. It was about loss. It was about a manager who wouldn't be coming back. It was about a community trying to process how something this senseless could happen to somebody this good. Billie Brightman leaves behind a wife who lost her husband, 2 children who lost their father, a mother who lost her firstborn, friends who lost their brother, co-workers who lost their manager, and a community that lost one of the good ones. His legacy isn't just the 25 years he put into that tire shop. It's not just the work he did or the position he held. It's the way he treated people, the way he gave chances to folks who needed them, the way he showed up every day with the same energy, the same realness, just being BJ, the way he loved his family, protected his friends, and tried to make sure everybody around him was straight. But his legacy is also a harsh reminder of something we don't want to accept. Sometimes doing right by people isn't enough to protect you. Sometimes giving somebody a chance, treating them with respect, being a good boss and a good man, still ends with you lying on a floor bleeding out from gunshot wounds you never saw coming. Billie Brightman deserved better than what he got. His family deserves answers they'll probably never receive. And the question his mama keeps asking, why, young man? Why? That question is going to echo long after the trial ends, long after Marlon Lawrence serves whatever time he gets, long after the tire shop reopens and tries to move forward. Because some questions don't have good answers. Some tragedies don't have lessons we can learn to prevent the next one. Sometimes, evil just is what it is, and good people pay the price. Rest in peace, Billie Brightman. Your mama called you her legend, and maybe that's the only title that matters. Not victim, not the manager who got killed, just legend. The man who lived 42 years loving his people, doing his work, and trying to keep everybody safe, even when nobody could keep him safe.